The nation's best-loved chefs are hitting the road to compete in some traditional country shows.
And I'm hoping to win one of those rosettes.
On the way, they'll meet some of Britain's best local food producers.
Why would you ever eat a cupcake when you have parking?
Before competing head-to-head with each other. And the great British public.
I thought the competition was big enough.
Our chefs are at the mercy of the harshest food critics in the land, the beady-eyed country show judges.
We don't like odd ones.
It's a competition and I'm taking it very seriously.
Hold on to your aprons, it's Country Show Cook-Off. This week, top chefs Valentine Warner and Ed Baines are navigating the length of the nation, competing at some of Britain's finest country shows.
I really want to walk away today with a rosette.
They'll be rustling up a range of cuisine for the toughest of competitions, travelling from northern England to the south coast and back. And today's leg goes from Otley to Lambeth. So far, Val's ahead by just 1 point to nil in this 5-day gastronomic cook-off after snatching a prize card at the Otley Country Show.
Oh, I've come third.
Whilst Ed's roulade was not a rolling success.
He's a bit stodgy.
I got an out. I knew I'd get out there.
Today our lads' cook-off takes them to Lambeth, a borough formed of 5 South London towns, stretching from the Thames to the Surrey Hills.
I'm really looking forward to this. A big country show in the heart of London, really.
London has over 60 Michelin-starred restaurants, making it a world-class foodie haven, but not necessarily the first place you'd think of for a country show.
They do have marks coming down the vein.
Despite only being in its 38th year, the Lambeth Country Show has already become an essential part of the local community calendar. Hordes of over 180,000 people gather for the eclectic mix of entertainment, activities, exhibitors and competitions.
I've been coming to this country show since I was 18 and I'm 52 now.
Our culinary comrades will be entering Class 80, an own recipe vegetable garden cake, so a cake made from at least one vegetable. Most of you will have tried carrot cake, but there are infinite veggie variations. It could be a fight to the finish in the stiffest of competitions.
It's very high standard. There's some absolutely magnificent looking displays here.
To be in with a chance of winning, they'll need to impress Mrs. Margaret Stone. After a rigorous 2-year training scheme, she's been a judge for 20 years.
That one we're not judging because of the size of the jar.
And she's not just picky about the jams and pickles. So when it comes to garden cakes, what tickles your taste buds, Margaret?
Good texture, good presentation, good flavour.
Piece of cake, right? Except this is no mean feat, as they're up against competitors who have their own motivation for success.
As long as I beat my brother, it doesn't really matter about winning overall.
So our chefs are set for one spectacular cook-off.
I'm going to go and have a small tantrum behind the van.
Them talking and fiddling around and oh God.
Valentine Warner's worked in some of London's top restaurants. His love of food began whilst learning to shoot and fish on his family's Dorset farm, and he goes wild for seasonal ingredients. Oh, you're so wild. Ed Baines' career has taken him from the Dorchester to Daphne's before opening up his own hip eatery in Shishi, Soho. So Ed's used to getting things done his way.
You may commence.
Each of the boys will need to make more than a common or garden cake for their country show cook-off.
So Lambeth Country Show is what we've got coming up.
It is indeed. We've got to enter our garden cake.
Well, I've heard of a carrot cake and stuff, or a courgette cake, but I haven't heard of a garden cake.
Garden cake.
Yes.
It's not going to be straightforward, this one, by any means. But yeah, it's going to be a huge turnout. A lot of foodies, I think, here as well. I think the competition is going to be high.
The culinary culture in Lambeth is diverse, with almost 40% of residents coming from ethnic minorities. Brick Brixton Village Market has been dubbed South London's best place for budget eating, with its multicultural cafes and stalls selling ingredients from across the world. Ed and Val can't come to Lambeth's hottest foodie hubs without visiting one of its amazing food producers.
Morning.
Morning.
Ning.
Ning,
Yes.
nice to meet you.
Ning Ma has grown up surrounded by food, so once her front room supper club became a roaring success, Ning and her mother Mama Lan set up this bijou diner.
And there's a real sort of tradition within your family of making and serving this food, isn't there?
Yeah, because my mum and her dad used to run a store like this in China, on a street in Beijing.
Ning's mum has been making dumplings for over 40 years and can whip up around 200 an hour. Today she's letting Val and Ed in on one of her family's secret recipes: king prawn, egg and Chinese chive dumplings.
So you've got king prawns, free-range eggs, and Chinese chive, salt, white pepper, Shaoxing wine, sesame oil, vegetable oil. So when people do love seeing foods being prepared fresh and then cook it in front of them, and so they can trust what you do.
Street food. That's proper street food.
A dough is made from plain flour and lukewarm water. Then it's rested for half an hour before rolling and pinching into smaller chunks.
We want to keep the middle of the disc thicker than the rest, so it can actually hold the weight of the stuffing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be shy. Give it a bit of a force. Yeah, that's fine for you first time.
Okay.
Just pinch them together in the middle,
Yeah.
and then pinch again from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So push it in and pinch.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
That's slightly different from the way your mother's
Yeah.
making, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yours looks like a Cornish pasty. Isn't it?
Yeah.
You can do
Come
one.
I go. Ha ha. Okay, so now we just bring it over on each other.
Yeah. That's good.
See? That's how you do it, Val. Okay, this is the moment of truth. They're going into boiling water.
And just give it a quick stir, just to make sure they don't stick to the bottom.
Looks like our boys like a good old pinching. The trick to yummy dumplings is letting them rise to the surface, adding cold water and bring it to the boil again. Then they're ready to serve.
That's delicious. Lovely. That is really amazing. I could do these all morning.
Well, you could if you didn't have a garden cake to bake, because tomorrow is show day. Our cooking comrades have parked their pop-up kitchen just 10 minutes from Brockwell Park, home of the Lambeth Country Show.
Right.
The 19th century Brixton windmill once ground wholemeal flour. These historical baking links make it a super spot for our chefs to work outdoors from the back of their Van's kitchen.
Brockwell Park, lovely location. Up on the hill there.
Yeah. You ready?
I'm ready, yeah.
Okay.
So far, Val's picked up a third and Ed's got nothing. So they must both give it their all to try and win. They each have their own recipes, and Ed's sticking with the tried and tested method.
My winning formula with a garden cake is my pumpkin cake, which I've made this before, but I'm adding a little golden and striped beetroots through it as well. So it's quite an exotic cake.
Sounds like a good plan to me. So what's Val got up his sleeves?
So I'm going to make a courgette cake. Courgettes may be a bit, done. How can I wake that up? So I'm going to put caraway seeds in it, a particularly favourite spice of mine.
And first to bake is Val with his courgette and caraway cake.
So this is a cake that has to include at least one vegetable. Right, the apples, first of all.
They're not vegetables, Val.
I'm going to cook a kind of apple puree, very, very appley puree, and then kind of mash it in with some cream cheese. These are Worcester apples. Little sharpness, very sweet. So I tried this out at home 3 times. There was a lot of upping and downing to the village shop because things weren't going according to plan.
Well, let's hope it's fourth time lucky.
So I'm going to add apple juice, cloudy apple juice. So on it goes to the gas. I know I'm going to want to add some sugar. So to start off with, I'll just put, I think, 2 in. And that's going to bubble away. Okay, next, the cake. So I've got about 100 grams of self-raising flour. I've got 100 grams of wholemeal flour, to give it that more kind of earthy, cosy, cottagey kind of thatched roof kind of feel. I've got 175 grams of golden caster sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder.
Yeah, what about the caraway seeds?
Ooh, I nearly forgot to do that. My caraway seeds, I want about a dessert spoon of those in there, plus a few for good measure. They're very hard to describe.
Yeah, it's sort of licorice-like sort of taste with a kick.
Oh, I didn't see you there.
Do you know what it's good with? If you make onion marmalade. It's lovely with little
coleslaw
caraways in there, yeah.
Back to the cake, eh?
And a little bit of salt to bring out the flavours of the cake. Take 200 grams of softened unsalted butter and 3 eggs. How easy is that? A whole lot straight into the food processor. And those have got to go into the oven, 180 for 25 minutes. I'm not going to open the door. I want them to puff up. I want to cover the top in caramelized, sugary, crunchy oatmeal. It would mean a lot to me if my cake came out well, and it would make me really, really happy if the cake won a prize. Right, that's enough. They're going to keep on cooking. Okay. Oh dear. I think we've got temperature problems because that ain't cooked at all. It's wet, there's no crust on it, it hasn't risen yet, and I've just opened the door and let a lot of heat out. And now I'm annoyed. Really annoyed. It's a competition and I'm taking it very seriously. I'm going to go and have a small tantrum behind the van.
He'll be bursting out of his shirt soon. The challenges of cooking on the road are pretty stressful, but 6 minutes can make all the difference.
It's wet batter. It's just wet.
Oh dear. Down, boy, down. Let's see what Ed thinks.
That's the thing about baking cakes, though, really. At the end of the day, it's not really much you can do.
I've got a reputation to keep.
Good things may come to those who wait, but is 6 minutes long enough?
Right, very quick look. Oh, dearie me. It's all happening, but amazingly slowly.
How about another 6 minutes? Yes?
No. They're browning on the top now, but they haven't risen. I'm going to give my cake
6 minutes more?
6 more minutes. If it hasn't done what it's meant to do in that time, I'm going to make it again. Basically, this is the 4th batch of 6 minutes. So my cake's been in for 25 minutes, and now it's been in for 24 minutes more. That's not promising. I'm not really happy with their look. They're quite moist, but I think they're going to be a bit dense.
Well, they're cooked.
Anyway, I'm going with it. So now that's done, while those cakes are cooling, I'm going to finish my apple filling. In goes my apple mixture. It's important that my apple's cooled. If I put the butter and cream cheese in, it'll all go kind of melty and wrong. Oof. Ooh. Yum. That is delicious. A bit of butter. I'm going to mix all of this together.
Ooh, to you too, with a big dollop of cream cheese.
That's something that's gone well.
But are you happy with your cake?
Am I happy with my cake? No, is the answer. Again, I've gone back to do I make them again? I mean, I've got this really nice filling. Do I want to waste it in this kind of cake? I'm all over the place. It's now cold, and I don't like it. I'm doing it again.
Well, while Val gets ready for round number 2, Ed cracks on with his spiced pumpkin and beetroot cake.
This is actually